getting out of hand. We're really going, they don't want to say the word, but we're going through a recession right now. We're really, and Major Eric said it. There is a budget cut going on in New York. And little by little, it's going to go in your states. Okay? You know, so, like, you know what? I told myself this week, like, yo, the internet right now is too dark because celebrity drama, of course, we love it. We infuse with it. We watch it. But it's like, yo, that's little of what's really going on in the world right now. That's nothing compared to what's going on in the world right now. The world is in shambles.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patreons also. If you're not a part of the Patreons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And guys, make sure you're getting these videos out. Share them to your friends and family. And we have Cardi B sending out a warning. And most likely she was told to say this. The economy is getting bad. We're in a recession. But guys, you know I proved it to you. Right now we are in a great depression. And guys, we know we always have these ominous bills at the end of the year with full of money to spend. Didn't happen this year. They know America to Babylon is about to fall, along with the United States World Reserve currency. And this was all part of a plan to bring in the fourth industrial revolution. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you.
Now we're in a bit of an awkward position because Congress has expressed a clear interest in stepping into this space and has suggested that maybe the SEC will not be the primary regulator for much of this stuff. And so it's a little bit harder to do now. But I think whatever we do or Congress does, the point should be, let's bear in mind what the objective is, which is to make sure there's enough information out there for people to make decisions about what they want to do, but also to preserve the ability of people to innovate and think about how to do things in new ways, not to try to force everything that's happening in the crypto world into the traditional finance mold, which is not necessarily the best mold for all of these things. So I hope that we'll turn over a new leaf in this area and take a fresh start.
The potential Bitcoin ETF filings that are still in the wings here.
Right. So
where do you see, you don't have a price target necessarily on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But what are you thinking in terms of where you are now?
So there's a couple things. We know in the past that Bitcoin has had these 2-year cycles that are generally centered around the halvening. And so we have another halvening coming up in April. And I'm not one of those people that thinks the halvening is the actual catalyst, but it's one of those sentiment things that all of a sudden now you have a reduction in supply. Couple that with the fact that we have the Federal Reserve that is likely done for some time being of raising rates. If not, we don't think they're going to go to 10%. Maybe they go to 5.5%, right? And then the second part of that is we now have these ETF filings. So for the first time ever, just like the gold ETF, you're going to have retail investors, not that they couldn't buy it before, but now registered investment advisors. Your Morgan Stanley wealth manager can allocate to this. And so that's what's got the market excited about this new ETF. So I think the easiest way to think about it is digital gold. If you have a portfolio and you've got some of it that you want allocated to gold, and let's call that for inflation reasons, you're worried about the dollar or whatever your currency is going lower, you want to have some kind of hedge against that. So you could do gold or you can do Bitcoin. And I would argue that Bitcoin is a better use case than gold because I can't use gold on the internet. I can use Bitcoin on the internet. So simply look at it. Bitcoin's a $700 billion market cap right now. All the gold that's ever mined is worth somewhere around 7-8 trillion. So if Bitcoin can take some market share from gold, which I think it's doing, then the multiple return from there, why couldn't it be 5x from here? Why couldn't it be 10x from here? Those are crazy big numbers, but if it starts to make market share just like any other kind of business would out there, that is what starts driving up the market cap. But the truth is that it hasn't happened yet because it hasn't had that adoption yet. We're still early in this, but that's why I think Argentina is kind of really interesting. Earlier, we saw El Salvador switch to kind of a Bitcoin standard, if you will. If Argentina picks that up, they're a bellwether in South America. They could be that bellwether for the global South, and that really could pick it up.
And we have Hester saying Congress is going to step in so the SEC doesn't have so much control over crypto. And we know crypto is not hard to regulate. We have the EU rules. Only thing we had to do is put our rules together. Gary Gensler is an NWO chess piece, and his job was to kick regulation can down the road so the emerging markets could rise. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now we have BK back on CNBC talking crypto. Says that a spot Bitcoin ETF can bring in more institutional money. And the halving will be a catalyst for the next bull run. But guys, every time we had a bull run, we can see the Fed pumping it. So the only thing we have to do is watch the Fed. Now we have the U.S. DOJ is seeking $4 billion from Binance in the case. And yes, guys, the movie continues. And they say CZ could face criminal charges in the U.S. But we haven't seen any evidence of wrongdoing. So guys, we know it's all part of the movie. And then we have the SEC goes after Kraken with similar charges with Coinbase. And we know the Rothschilds fund is invested in Kraken. So guys, we know this is definitely all part of the movie. And then we have Yellen speaks on China and Taiwan. And guys, we know China hasn't changed its stance. They want Taiwan back. And we know that's going to start WW3. Those drums are going to get to beating. But remember, it's no longer going to be physical. It's going to be cyber. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
The U.S. is seeking more than $4 billion from Binance as part of a proposed resolution to a years-long investigation. For more, let's bring in crypto regulation reporter Allison Versprell in Washington. Allison, so this is a massive penalty. What other terms are being discussed to resolve the case?
So we also know that negotiations involve talk of possibly criminally charging Changpeng Zhao, who is the CEO of Binance. That's something that's been on the table. We know that the investigation so far has dealt with issues such as money laundering, sanctions, potential sanctions violations, and, potential bank fraud. So these are some of the charges we could see crop up. All of that is still in negotiations currently. This is fluid, but it does just show that the case is nearing an end. Allowing people to evade sanctions in Russia and Iran. There is money laundering. They've been being investigated for money laundering violations. They've been under investigation for bank fraud. So these are some of the issues that we could see crop up. We also know that they've been facing scrutiny for potentially allowing Hamas to use the platform. That's something that came up in another regulator lawsuit, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So these are all things we're keeping an eye on, all things that could potentially, come to light here.
Militarily, he said publicly with some of the CEOs, he does not want to have some kind of military confrontation. But how do you square those two ideas, and how do you think Western and U.S. businesses are supposed to think about that?
Well, President Biden made clear that our China policy, our Taiwan policy, has not changed at all, and that we want to see peaceful relations continue, and certainly to avoid military action. This is clearly a very important issue from China's point of view, and President Xi did express the view that it's important for Taiwan and mainland China to unify. He certainly expressed the desire to have that occur by peaceful means. But President Biden said our policy remains unchanged from what it's always been with respect to Taiwan.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.